infamy. In this list, we'll explore the lives, misdeeds, and fates of some of the most infamous Scottish pirates, from the golden age of piracy in the 17th and 18th centuries to lesser-known figures whose actions contributed to the lawlessness of the era. William Kidd, or Captain Kidd, born in Scotland in 1645, William Kidd initially sailed as a privateer before he turned to piracy in the late 17th century. He gained notoriety for looting ships in the Indian Ocean and the Caribbean. Kidd's career took a dramatic turn when he was accused of piracy, murder, and other criminal activities. His actions included the capture of the Quader Merchant, an East India Company ship. Kidd's notoriety grew as he became a feared figure among sailors and merchant vessels. In 1701, he was captured, subjected to a highly publicized trial, and subsequently executed, making him one of the most infamous pirates in history. Robert Culliford, operating as a Scottish pirate in the late 17th century, Robert Culliford became infamous when he captured the notorious pirate ship Fancy. Culliford's piracy activities continued in the Indian Ocean, and he went on to engage in numerous attacks on various ships. However, his ultimate fate is uncertain, with little information available about how his piracy career concluded. John Gow, also known as Black John, left a trail of terror along the coast of northern Scotland in the early 18th century. His piracy career involved not only attacking ships but also sacking coastal towns and capturing vessels like the George in 1725. His actions struck fear among the local population, and authorities launched an extensive effort to capture him. In the end, John Gow was apprehended, tried, and hanged in 1725 as a consequence of his ruthless piracy career. Thomas Penniston, once a merchant sailor, Thomas Penniston turned to piracy in the early 18th century, focusing his criminal activities on ships in the Americas, particularly preying on vessels along the coast of North Carolina. His actions disrupted trade routes and posed a significant threat to maritime commerce. Penniston's reign of piracy came to an end when he was captured, subjected to a trial, and ultimately met his fate on the gallows in the late 1720s. Charles Vane, though born in England, Charles Vane had Scottish ancestry and became one of the most aggressive and ruthless pirates during the golden age of piracy. Vane was notorious for plundering and terrorizing ships in the Caribbean, leaving a wake of chaos and destruction. He gained infamy for his audacity and refusal to surrender during encounters with British naval forces. His piracy career reached a bitter end when he was marooned by his own crew, captured, and eventually hanged in 1720, marking the conclusion of his violent exploits. Alexander Selkirk, born in Scotland in 1676, Alexander Selkirk is famous less for piracy but as a castaway, who survived on a deserted island. His real-life experiences on the uninhabited Juan Fernandez Islands in the South Pacific served as the inspiration for Daniel Defoe's fictional character, Robinson Crusoe. Selkirk's resourcefulness and survival skills during his 4-year isolation have made him a legend of maritime history. Donald MacDowell, sailing alongside the infamous pirate Edward Teach, also known as Blackbeard, Donald MacDowell was involved in piracy activities along the east coast of North America. His collaboration with Blackbeard included attacking and plundering ships, leading to confrontations with British naval forces. While the precise details of MacDowell's fate are unclear, he likely met a similar end to Blackbeard, who was killed by British naval forces in 1718. Archibald Hamilton, while limited information is available about his background, Archibald Hamilton was an active pirate in the Caribbean. Engaging in piracy in the region, he targeted and looted ships, contributing to the overall menace to maritime trade and the threat posed by pirates during his era. John Gow, the Younger, 1747, another Scottish pirate named John Gow, active in the 18th century, led a mutiny and seized control of a merchant ship, which he used for acts of piracy in the Atlantic. His pirate raids included attacks on various vessels, causing alarm among maritime communities. Ultimately, Gow's criminal activities led to his capture, trial, and execution in 1747. John McCrae. While little is known about his background, John McCrae was part of the pirate crew led by Bartholomew Roberts, one of the most successful pirates of his time. McCrae likely played a role in pirate activities, such as attacking and plundering ships, under Roberts' command. Their piracy career met a grim fate when British naval forces intercepted them, resulting in the deaths of Roberts, McCrae, and their crew. William Wilson or Willie Wassell, born in Scotland, William Wilson, known as Willie Wassell, was a pirate active during the late 17th century. Wilson was involved in piracy in the Caribbean, and along the American coast. He targeted ships and coastal settlements, contributing to the lawlessness that characterized piracy during his era. Little is known about the exact circumstances of his capture or fate, but like many pirates of his time, he likely faced the risk of capture, trial, and execution by the authorities. George Lowther. George Lowther was a Scottish pirate active during the golden age of piracy in the early 18th century. Lowther was known for his piracy activities in the Caribbean and the Atlantic Ocean. He, along with his crew, preyed on merchant vessels, taking their cargo, and terrorizing their crews. Lowther's piracy career ended when he was captured by British naval forces. He and his crew faced trial and were subsequently executed, marking the conclusion of their pirate endeavors. Throughout history, Scotland has produced its fair share of notorious pirates whose exploits have left an indelible mark on maritime law. These Scottish buccaneers, hailing from a land known for its rich seafaring traditions, ventured far and wide, terrorizing the high seas and coastal towns.